Hello everyone, GoldenNova here, and a new deck build pack is just about to release in the OCG. Justice Hunters is about to add 3 new archetypes to the card pool, and we have some fantastic additions to talk about. We're going to start by covering a theme that seems to slot in very well with some established decks moving forward. I make it no secret that I love Branded, probably one of the biggest triumphs in Yu-Gi-Oh! Storytelling. So what if another deck involving dragons, spellcasters, and fusions cropped up? Well, I know they're baiting me, but it's working. Tune in, cause it's time for Dragon Tales, no not that one, Explained. Today's episode is possible thanks to viewers like you, as well as my patrons. If you like what I do here, I would super appreciate it if you'd subscribe to help us reach another wonderful milestone video. And if you want to support me directly while getting some awesome benefits, check out the link to my Patreon in the description below. So, what's the deal with Dragon Tail? Well, there are a series of spellcaster and dragon monsters who, when sent to the grave as fusion material, allow you to set a Dragon Tail spell or trap card from your deck, with the dragons providing an additional effect after that. It doesn't matter what they're used as material for, though their fusion summoning effects do usually narrow us down to thematically appropriate options. But outside that, as long as they meet the material requirements for them, they make for great value engines, as well as ways to chain block any on-summon effects. As for what they're based on, well, get your candy corn horns and gray sharpies ready because we're bringing in the zodiac signs. Specifically, lunar nodes play a big part in their design, which are the 2 points in the moon's orbit where it can align with the sun to make either a solar or lunar eclipse. And guess what? The northern pole, or ascending node, is known as the dragon's head, while the southern pole, or descending node, the dragon's tail. See? And the zodiac constellations are part of the ecliptic plane that the moves travel through, so that's where those come in. You'll see the image on various pieces of jewelry, as well as how the dragons are designed in the artwork. And all of this comes together with the fusion monsters, which are pairs of monsters with opposite zodiac signs, based on how they line up with where the ascending and descending nodes are at any given time. First up, we have Dragon Tail Muller, a level 3 dark dragon monster with 1100 attack and 1500 defense, and during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can fusion summon a Dragon Tail fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn except fusion monsters. If this card is sent to the grave as material for a fusion summon, you can set a Dragon Tail spell or trap card, then you can negate the effects of one face-up monster your opponent controls. So yeah, right off the bat, this rules something fierce. What we have is quick access to our big bosses that, should it use itself as material, it gets you that sweet spell or trap card and a negate. Sadly, it only works with on-theme fusion, so don't expect to pull off anything fancy, though don't worry about not having the right fusion material. You'll find that the recipes are very permissive. This card really rules, and honestly, as far as Dragon Scorpions go, this is probably the most adorable example of them I've ever seen. Apropos of nothing, do not look up Amorphages, and definitely don't watch Amorphage Explained. It's not pretty. Dragon Tail Lucius is a level 4 Earth Spellcaster monster with 1800 attack and 700 defense, and if this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a Dragon Tail monster from your deck to your hand except a copy of this card. Yeah, not much to say here. This is our Stratos. Summon this out, tutor out a Dragon Tail monster, use it as material, get a Dragon Tail spell or trap card. Not only does this help get us a Dragon Tail that can perform a fusion summon for us in the hand, it also helps dictate what bonus effects we get depending on the dragon we use as fusion material. This cements Lucius in that boring but necessary section of the card design roster where you need someone to bridge the gaps, but doesn't necessarily do anything interesting. Which is why it's so good that the artists have saved this card with a killer fit. Stark white uniform with red and black tassels and abs that you could buy in a liquor store because they are rocking a 6-pack. Dragon Tail Femina is a level 5 water spellcaster monster with 1300 attack and 2500 defense, and during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can discard this card to fusion summon a dragon or spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as material. This means you won't be able to use it as material for a fusion summon, because it'll be in the graveyard, but hey, another fusion effect is pretty nice, and at quick effect speed to boot. I also like that it's a broader pool of monsters to summon than Muller. Now, every every dragon in Spellcaster with a purple frame is up for grabs, and because you can do it at spell speed 2, any of them with on-summon effects are now even better, which means it's time for everyone's favorite Spellcaster and Dragon combination. That's right, the secret lore card itself, Mysterion, the Dragon Crown! Still holding out hope for this one, by the way. If I have to wait this long to figure out what the heck is going on with Zephyr Metaltron, I can wait for this secret too. Dragentail Urgula is a level 6 fire dragon monster with 2400 attack and 1000 defense. Ooh, Monarch stats. If this card is sent to the grave as material for a fusion summon, you can set a Dragentail spell or trap card from your deck, then you can destroy a spell or trap card on the field. And if this card is in the grave, you can target a Spellcaster Dragentail monster in your grave, place this card on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, add that monster to your hand. This is cluing us in on another aspect of the deck, that these higher level dragon monsters have effects when in the grave too, outside of being sent there as fusion material. And in this case, we get to recycle our Spellcasters. Get your choice of either the monster search or the fusion effect. Either way, Urgula goes back into the deck for more shenanigans. And hey, incidental backrow removal ain't so bad to have on your fusion material. It certainly helped Shadal's out. And it was even a dragon too, how about that? We certainly won't take any back row strategies lying down. God, constellations are fun. Dragentail Pan is a level 7 wind dragon monster with 2700 attack and 1700 defense that, if sent to the grave as fusion material, lets you set a Dragentail spell or trap card directly from your deck, then you can destroy a monster on the field. And if any number of face-up fusion monsters you control are destroyed by an opponent's card effect while this card is in your grave, you can place this card on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, special summon a non-fusion Dragentail monster from your grave. So it's not a protective replacement effect, but kind of a float for your fusions. You can even get back Lucius if you want the search, or maybe Muller to start up a fusion summon. And this one having monster destruction as its little bonus effect rules. This thing just has all manner of utility baked right into it. I'm in love. It truly is the GOAT. Alright, that does it for the main deck monsters, and now let's shimmy on over to our fusions. Dragentail Grammel is a level 7 water spellcaster fusion monster with 2800 attack and 2300 defense, requiring a Dragentail monster and a monster in hand as material. Told you it was permissive. When you activate a Dragentail card or effect as a quick effect, you can target a card your opponent controls and to destroy it. And if 2 or more monsters are sent to the grave at the same time while this card is in the grave, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Hey, that's nifty! We've got a big monster that adds a little extra value to our effects. It works like Thunder Dragon Titan, where it does miss timing, so you have to make sure nothing interrupts you between the activations of your Dragentail cards and effects and your next bit of priority. But since you'll be getting some Dragentail effects from the monsters you used as fusion material, you'll have a shot immediately on summon. Sadly, unlike Thunder Dragon Titan, the effect is a hard once per turn, because if it was triggering off of everything, I think we'd all have a bit of a meltdown. And it doesn't stay down for long if your opponent gets rid of it. If you perform another fusion summon, you can bring it back out, or if any mass removal or sending happens, like with Dark Hole, Raigeki, Lightning Storm, or Mirror Force, all of those can trigger the summon of our fusions, even if multiple of our opponent's monsters are sent to the grave at the same time. It's kinda ridiculous. This truly is a doozy of a card, helping you to extract every little bit of value from this pile as you can, and I can't blame them. With how narrow the margins of error are in this game, especially at the higher levels, even grammelular advantages can make the difference. Dragentail Altharian is a level 8 Earth Dragon monster with 3000 attack and 2500 defense, requiring a Dragentail monster and 1 or more monsters in the hand. If this card is fusion summoned, you can target monsters on the field and or in any graves, up to the number of monsters used as fusion material from the hand, and return them to the hand. And if 2 or more monsters are sent to the grave at the same time while this card is in your grave, you can special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. 2500 defense, you say? Careful designers, I might start getting ideas. So yeah, this card is pretty epic for how it can help you reset your engine. See, the more cards you cash in from your hand, the more bounces you get. But it doesn't just have to be removal, it can be recycling since you can hit your own graveyard. You can do something like use the dragons as material to get the free Dragentail back row, but also get their secondary effects like Pan's removal or Muller's negation. Then, pop them right back into your hand to use them again later. Or keep Pan in the grave and return Femina to the hand, then use Urgula's effect to put Lucius back into your hand. Or just uproot your opponent's entire board. Honestly, it's no skin off my nose. No matter how you use it, know that how you do and in what situations will determine how your games go. Altharion is that important to the theme executing on its game plan, and learning when to be greedy and when to be cautious is going to do you a lot of good. But something looks familiar about this here. Dragon, goat horns. Oh, Aluber, come on out of there. You can't hide from me, you little rapscallion. The black goat might be laughing, but after what he did with his own story, I sure ain't. Not that it was a bad story, he's just a big troublemaker. Alright, that does it for the extra deck. Now it's time to take a look at all those wonderful spell and trap cards the game has been teasing us with so far. Ketu Dragontail is a normal spell card that adds a Dragontail monster from your deck to your hand. Then, if your opponent controls a monster, you can fusion summon a Dragon or Spellcaster monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as material. So it's like a combination of Lucius and Femina? It searches an on-themed card, and then performs a fusion summon of a dragon or spellcaster. It's right out of both of their playbooks. And honestly, you could do worse. It obviously incentivizes you to play going second, since your opponent is far more likely to have a monster on board when they go first. But isn't bad as a straight-up search card either. One that you can get your hands on anytime you use one of your monsters as fusion material. None of our other fusion effects require our opponent to have a monster though, which is a little out of place, but I guess shows off that this is during the part of the Dragontail life cycle where they're huge show-offs, so what can you do? Me, personally, I'm gonna shut up and let it happen. They've got a bite for crying out loud. That could end me, and I'm not testing their patience. Rahu Dragontail is a normal spell card that fusion summons a Dragontail fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand, deck, and or on the field as material. Also, you can't special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except fusion monsters. Now, on the surface, this may seem like we've stumbled upon the second coming of branded fusion, but alas, we aren't so lucky. While this card doesn't put a limit on the number of material we can use from the deck, remember that most of the material listed on those fusions has to come from the hand. This means Rahu can, at most, send one fusion material monster from the deck, which, hey, with effects like ours, I can let it pass. Pan annihilates a monster on contact. I think that's more than enough value, especially because this card has the good graces to apply for the rest of the turn and not just the whole turn. Now, this may change as we get more fusion monsters. I expect we'll be seeing one for Muller in the near future, as well as maybe another Spellcaster to go along with it, which may have fusion material that shakes things up a bit. But for now, all we can do is sit and wait. And honestly, now is the best time for it. With a name like Rahu, all I want to do now is pick up my old copy of Custom Robo. What a weird game. A fun game, but a weird game. Dragontail Flame is a normal trap card that targets a face-up spell card on the field and negates its effects until the end of the turn. Then you can place a Dragontail card from your grave or banishment on the bottom of the deck, except a copy of this card, then draw a card. That's right, this deck's interaction is so cool, it recycles and draws you cards. Strange, it only interacts with spell cards though, making its activated effect pretty limited. It can hit your normal suspects, continuous, and field spells, but can also hit things like Triple Tactics Talent or Forbidden Droplets, less permanent options that don't stick around long, but are still highly impactful. And if our fusions ever get banished after they revive themselves, this card can put them back into rotation. This deck has been pretty cool so far, but now, it's on fire. Dragontail Horn is a normal trap card that targets an attack position monster on the field and returns it to the hand or extra deck. Then you can place a Dragontail card from your grave or banishment on the bottom of your deck, except a copy of this card, then you draw a card. That's right, both of our trap cards are cantrips, and both recycle. Horn is a lot easier to play, compulsing any attack position monster, and as far as your opponent goes, yeah, that's gonna be most of what they play. It's usually how you win the game. But I have to question the practicality of what's going on here. Sure, Pan has horns, but none of them are jutting out for a gore attack like I would expect. At this point, just call it Dragontail Headbutt, it'll have the same effect, and will be more accurate. You're welcome, dev team. Alright, so that's all the Dragontail cards, but what do we do with them? Well, anything that stuffs our hand full of fusion material wouldn't be half bad, especially if it's cards that work well when being used as fusion material. Since our own theme is pretty adept at fulfilling its game plan, our tech pick should focus on what themes would best splash with them, shoring up our weaknesses of not having a lot of negation or protection, while complementing our ability to decimate our opponent's board with all of our quick effect removal. And the more spellcastery or dragony that support is, the better. So what can we play to help them out? Gonna get this out of the way first because I know it's been on my mind, branded. And this is where I've kinda gotta pump the brakes a bit. While the primary monsters involved are dragons and spellcasters, their fusion material isn't quite so much. There are hardly any dragon tail monsters that fit the bill, especially for the really useful ones like Lubellion and Albion. But that's not to say there's no hope for us. Looking a little to the left of the lore, Despia actually makes for a good pairing. While they may seem like an even worse pairing considering all of their fusion materials like light and dark monsters, which we don't have very many of, they make for excellent fusion material themselves for our Dragon Tales. Make Altherian with cards like Tragedy and Dramaturge and you'll be swimming in value. This also goes for the Illusion Chimera cards, as several of their cards just want to be used as fusion material for stuff. And honestly, vice versa. Chimera Fusion has always been an excellent way to deploy Guardian Chimera, and it just needs differently named material, so using the monsters that get you free material when making one of the best fusions in the game, it seems like a good idea to me. Heck, Chimera Fusion is another way you can make the Dragon Tail fusions themselves at quick speed too, since it can make any fusion monster just so long as a fiend or a beast is involved as part of the materials. And as long as those cards are in the hand, they more than meet that specification. We should also keep in mind our deck's wide attribute base. Like we said, we lack a strong amount of light or dark monsters, which means we can't really make full use of cards like Shadalls, but Invoked have some pretty spicy options across the spectrum. Use Urgula to make Purgatrio while dispensing of a pesky back row, or make Raijin using Pan to also snipe a monster. The best part here is that Invocation is another fusion spell that can make any fusion monster, though to make non-invoked ones, all the material has to be in our hand. That sound familiar? Other wacky fusion possibilities include the Dark Magician fusion, since they're either going to be dragons or spellcasters, and it gives you a little bit of DM cred. Magistus Chorozo, since our fusions have a way to revive themselves so we can get double value out of them, so we might as well add a little guy that can bounce monsters to hand. And if we don't mind using non-Dragon Tail fusion effects, Magnum the Reliever lines up with our playstyle really well, and can even use that non-Dragon Tail fusion card for draws or removal. So our fusions are really good at breaking our opponent's board, but how do we keep our own safe? Well, thankfully, since we have a number of high-level dragons, we can make great use of Dragon Maids, specifically Dragon Maid Show. That's also a group of multi-attribute dragons that love fusion summoning, and when you use Show, you get to trade it out for another big dragon that has even more removal. It's a win-win. But if you're looking for something less cottagecore and more heavy metal, the new Metal Morph cards can help you out. Tribute any of your big dragons for max Metal Morph, and that gets you Red Eyes Black Full Metal Dragon, which not only comes with a negate, but some burn damage as well. As for a silly tech pick, I think this is one of the best decks in the game to make use of D-Fusion. Think about it. You can cram a ton of material into Altherian to uproot your opponent's field. Just make sure you don't bounce any of that material back into your hand. You want to keep it in there. Then go to battle and swing in with Altherian's big 3000 attack stat before throwing down D-Fusion and decomposing it into all the component monsters that make it up. And if you used your dragons for this, you've got some big bodies to help push for even more damage. And if you have a way to fuse again during the battle phase, then you've got some real teeth on you. And that's all the info I have on Dragon Tales. I think this theme has a lot of potential, and even has some striking power moves to call its own already. There's some rough patches here and there, but with a little bit of time and ingenuity, I'm confident this crossover of two of the game's best types will produce a terrifying force that will come to haunt the battlefield over the coming months. And this is just what happens when we lose the coin flip. You don't want to see what happens when we get dragon heads. But now, I want to hear what you all have to say. Are Dragon Tales about to shine like the heavens, or did they just get the tail end of the deal? And which one's your favorite? I've got to say, I I really love Muller. That thing is so cute. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you haven't already, please be sure to like the video if you liked it, subscribe so you don't miss an episode, click on one of my vids in the suggested feed to help me show up on your homepage, and be sure to share this video with somebody you know who loves Yu-Gi-Oh! It really does a lot to help me out. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales that even come with their own lore, and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media, and Cernite JCB, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, 50 Gigabytes, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Kane Senpai, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade Copperbottom, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Mike Cook, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Bat Boos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sonic 21 Blast, The Critic of Innocence, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ally Vatia, Animasta, Anthrak, Baden Von Titty Sprinkles, Beluga Masta, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Chris B, Dr. Entity RIP, Eva Padilla, Hike Boyagian, Herbal D, Inblink, Kale the Dragon, Lobomaru 02, Manga Pages, Natiel Lee Alexander, Night Trummo, Not Al Gore, Nyx, Obsidian, Pombo, Rain, Rhyme Kairos, Schwenny, Shizuki Nijimura, Sophie, apparently, Sphilia, Stephen Williamson, The Legendary Raven, The Phantom Knights of Shitted Pants, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Weasel King of Weaseltown, Zaldreka, and Zero Day Nova, as well as all the lovely Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining here as a YouTube member. Even a single dollar means the world to me and honestly helps me a lot more than YouTube ad rev. And if you'd like to see another group of spellcasters and dragons dabble in the field of fusions, check out my whole branded lore playlist right here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.